自由的含义和层次。
The meaning and level of freedom. Siefing like an eagle soaring freely in the high and empty blue sky, like a steed galloping across the endless grasslands, free to sway freely and bloom with neither boundaries nor fetters, travel through the vastness of time and space at will. The pursuit of freedom comprises the unremitting efforts and the ultimate pursuits of all beings in the universe. Live free or die was the cry for freedom pursued by the American statesman Patrick Henry in his speech to the Virginia Parliament in order to gain independence from British rule in North America nearly a quarter millennium ago. The original meaning of the sentence from France was, "Set me free or kill me." Life is precious, but love is more expensive, yet if it is for freedom, then both can be discarded. This is from the Hungarian poet Petőfi Sándor's Freedom and Love, from his A Song of Liberty, 180 years ago, in order to get rid of the slavery of the Austrian Empire. Freedom, you are the most beautiful flower in the forest, the eagle that spreads its wings high, the rushing river that flows without restraint, the boundless blue sea and waves, and the heaven of bliss. In your arms there is neither fear nor worry, but only security for prevention, and there are no fetters, only the flirtatious splendor of Tathagata's nature. Freedom is the most holy and most desirable, the most charming and fascinating, the sexiest and most inspiring, and the most solemn and dignified. What is freedom? Freedom is to do as you please without breaking the rules. Freedom is to fully bloom the nature of Tathagata. Freedom is to do what you want without interfering with others in society, and without harming nature. Freedom is to release the breath of love without interference or obstruction along the way. Freedom is to gallop freely in the boundless time and space without shackles, constraints, or fetters. Freedom is the greatest Creator's gift of a natural right to life. In a free life there is no trouble, pain, anxiety, or sorrow, let alone any fears, anxieties, precautions, or worries. Within a free life are only happiness, joy, and comfort, and only carefree, elegant, wonderful, and infinite relaxation. There are 3 levels of freedom. The first level: better to barter empty fame for the pleasures of good wine and sweet song in a straw cloak. I spend my life in mist and rain, in the dreamy shades of apricot flowers, in the spring that seems boundless, singing and playing the flute till dawn. The second level: I see 1,000 hills crimson through by their serried woods deep-dyed, and 100 barges vying over crystal blue waters. Eagles cleave the air, fish glide through the deep blue water under freezing skies. 1,000,000 creatures contend in freedom. The third level: jumping out of the 3 realms, not in the 5 elements, freely travel around the whole earth. How to achieve the 3 levels of freedom? Being above the common and free from vulgarity, we can reach the first level of freedom, where we can enjoy the wonderful movement given by nature and tranquility. Making the world peaceful and warm, we can reach the second level of freedom, where everyone can be Yao and Shun. Outside the pavilion along the ancient road the grass is green. Wherever you go it is indescribable, and you are high from mountains and rivers. Listening to the teachings of gods, Buddhas, immortals, and saints, and walking the way of the greatest Creator, you can achieve the third level of freedom, where you can raise a handful of sand and transform it into thousands of green trees, gallop freely in the universe, and absorb infinite beauty. Long live freedom! Let us sway in the youthful time, play to the youthful music, walk out of the kingdom of necessity, and move toward the kingdom of freedom. I know the road to freedom. Come with me, hold my hand as we run to the free hills to sing and dance, to enjoy the beautiful mountains and rivers, and to enjoy the endless, most wonderful time of life and of life.
活到极致，挥洒到极致。
Live to the extreme, exert to the extreme. Siefing.
Septembre 2023-2018.
Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Peter. Feel whether you are dead. If you are not dead, there is always hope, and there is still a chance to dance a tango on the edge of death. Not long ago, a Huang and I and a Danish couple went to the Lac La Hatch Park to pick mushrooms. A Huang and I ate the mushrooms. We did not dare to share them with the guests. At about 2:30 in the middle of the night, the mushroom's toxic effects broke out. We vomited violently, felt dizzy and had diarrhea. We considered that the cost of going to the hospital was too high and we could not afford it, so we did not call an ambulance. On the one hand, we rescued ourselves, on the other hand, we were prepared for death. We forcibly drank a lot of salt water and randomly vomited and excreted. Unexpectedly, we returned to peace at 4:30, and we did not die. I was tired and wanted to sleep, but thinking that I needed to make breakfast for the guests in the morning, I didn't sleep anymore for fear that I would have overslept. I was still alive, didn't die. I was so happy and fortunate. Compared to death, it's no big deal losing several hours of sleep. I've watched movies such as Into the White, Survival of the Jedi, Hacksaw Ridge, and so on. Thinking about myself now, I am so happy. Every day there is food to fill my stomach, and there is a house to live in. I have eyes to see, legs to walk on, hands to work with, a mouth to talk with. I am so fortunate and happy. About my age? It's just over 60. That I have lived safely to the age of 60 is already a great blessing and great good fortune. Thank God, thank heaven. What is the rest of my time to be used for? Wholeheartedly and selflessly for the benefit of this world. Live to the extreme, exert to the extreme. Since I didn't die, then I should make breakfast for the guests. The soldiers trained by the American West Point Military Academy are brave and good at fighting. It is said that the West Point Military Academy has a famous BEAST program, which is a series of cruel training exercises of human nature, physiology, psychology, and intelligence. 1/5 of the students who have undergone rigorous selection cannot stand the training of wild beasts and are eliminated. Those who can persist are the best among the soldiers because they bring human nature to the extreme. Looking back, have I lived to the extreme? Did I live out my value? I am ashamed to say that I did not. I have wasted a lot of precious time. I have been living in a situation of having adequate food and clothing without any great tribulation. My daily time is not fully used for learning, thinking, exploring, studying, struggling, and experiencing. I checked my life accounts and found that before the age of 35, I spent my life being muddle-headed without any achievements. Although at the age of 18, I served as the party branch secretary of the Village Production Brigade and managed the affairs of 11 villages for 3 years, it was basically mediocre. There are no highlights to show off. At the age of 36, my life started to have a little bit of color. I was then working as an interpreter for a project in Zimbabwe, Africa. It was worth mentioning that for more than a year, there were no holidays, no weekends, and I worked more than 10 hours every day. The most exciting time, there was one night when there was no moonlight, only starlight. I drove a dilapidated Jeep, the lights didn't work, none of the big or small lights were working. The drive shaft of the car could have easily fallen off. The car did not have a roof and the steering wheel had excessive free play. Once the car broke down, it couldn't be started again, unless pushed by people or dragged by other vehicles. Therefore, once it was started, I had to make sure it wouldn't stall. Under this kind of night and vehicle conditions, I drove more than 80 kilometers in the African jungle and on the highway. Thinking about it later, it was very thrilling. It was risking with my life. It also belongs to the BEAST training of the West Point Military Academy. I started my own business, opening a company at the age of 38. My busiest time was when I had 4 shops, a nightclub, a bar, and a fast food restaurant. I would sleep no more than 5 hours a day. To save time, I limited my mealtime to 10 minutes. In general, I finished a meal in 5 or 6 minutes to deal with an average of 9 things every day. But I think that I haven't exerted my life to its limit. I should have done more. The more than 10 years of establishing the theoretical system of life Changyuan can be regarded as hard work. At least every day I worked hard. The Changyuan corpus and Xiefeng corpus with thousands of articles and tens of millions of words were written by me day and night without wasting any time. But this cannot be considered as living to the extreme, because I just make the best of my time, sleep less, and entertain less. I have no worry about food, clothing, shelter, transportation, life, old age, sickness, and death. There is no suffering, no hardship, and it can't be said that it is wonderful. The 10 years of creating the new oasis for life, the second home, With Chanyuan celestials have been 10 years of enjoyment. Although a new mode of production and life has been created and a bright road has been initiated for mankind, all these have been done in playing and entertainment. There is no suffering, no tiredness, no pain, no great hardship, and it cannot be counted as having lived to the extreme of human nature. If there is something that we can show off, it is the 9 picturesque and Xanadu-like homes that we have created, which were then destroyed because of the government's incomprehension, misunderstanding and misinterpretation. We were driven out of the homes, our 26 million funds disappeared in smoke. We, 150 people, had no houses to live in, no food to eat, and most of our daily supplies were gone. We went on the road of vagrancy. There was nothing left. In this case, we did not complain about the heaven, the earth, the government, nor did we petition, raise banners, whine, protest, march, rebel, or do anything to harm others, society, or nature. We did not sink into negative and pessimistic emotions. We licked our wounds and not only survived miraculously, but also lived very happily. In this regard, we lived out our natural and unrestrained lives, and lived to the extreme. How could we do this? Because we are grass, Chanyuan celestials are grass. Boundless grasses across the plain come and go with every season. Wildfires never quite consume them. They are tall once more in the spring wind. In fact, even if the spring wind does not blow, even if the wind is cold, the grass won't die, because the grass will live to its extreme, will exert itself to the extreme. Only those who have gone through hardships alive, still struggling for a better future, are qualified to talk about life, ideals, to discuss scriptures and Tao. Only those with a strong heart are qualified to talk about life, ideals, and to discuss scriptures and Tao. Only those who have lost all material security, but still love life and love nature, are qualified to lead mankind to a better era. Only those who serve the people wholeheartedly, can tolerate everything, and possess universal values are qualified to lead humankind to a better life. Even if the entire group is annihilated, as long as there is one person, as long as he is a Chanyuan celestial, he will still hold the banner of the new era and guide mankind towards the peak of life and life without hesitation, without retreat. To enter the Xiefeng-style communist society, globally every Chanyuan celestial himself is a light that will shine, will live to the extreme, will exert to the extreme.
顾虑重重难以远行。
With too many worries, one cannot travel very far. Xiefeng. October 27, 2022. Translated by Qin Yu, edited by Peter. Life is a journey, and the purpose of that journey is to experience life. The farther you travel, the richer and more profound your experience will be. The lower the life, the simpler the experience, such as with earthworms. The higher level the life, the richer the experience, such as with God. To experience more, we need to travel far, and the farther the journey, the better. The journey of Chanyuan celestials is the longest journey in the history of humankind. They travel from the human world to the 1,000-year world of heaven, then to the 10,000-year world, and finally they will reach the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. With such long-distance travel, if there are too many worries with you, then you will never realize this ideal. Historical experience can never solve today's actual problems. No matter how much knowledge you may have, no matter how high your IQ is, you will never know what will change tomorrow. Rational analysis can never know what changes will happen tomorrow. If we stay at home and don't set off on this distant journey will only be a dream. Starting out all depends on your courage and faith. If you lack courage, you dare not step out of your house. If you lack faith, you cannot overcome the difficulties that you will encounter on this journey. When traveling for a long distance, your luggage should not be too heavy. If we want to think about the difficulties we will encounter on the journey and then bring all the equipment and gear that we may need to overcome them, it will be difficult for us to move forward with such a heavy load, and we will become exhausted along the way. With overly heavy tangible luggage, one cannot travel far, and the invisible luggage is also too heavy to travel very far with. I once invited a friend to open a restaurant in Harare, and the friend had many concerns, saying, "What if I get seriously ill? What if the business fails? What if my parents in China get sick? What if I have no pension in the future? What should I do if you don't help me at the critical moment? What if that country's policy changes? What if my wife can't stand the loneliness in China and runs away with someone else? I said forget it. After determining your direction and destination, take the first step at first. After the first step is taken, then take the second, third, fourth, and nth steps. Don't think about the third and the fourth step before the first step is taken, not to mention what difficulties you will encounter when you reach the nth step. If you want to wait until everything is ready before you start, you can only wait until your youth is gone, your temples become gray, your teeth fall out, and you become stooped. However, when you are not far from the grave, will you still have the courage to start? There are plenty of fish in the sea. Each place has its own way of supporting its own inhabitants. If you live on a mountain, you live off the mountain. If you live by the water, you live off the water. When the east is dark, the west will be bright. If it is dark in the south, there will be light in the north. Although I have not done the statistics, only one thing is certain: far more people starve and die from their frustrations at home than on the road. If we want to take care of everything and are not willing to leave anything behind, we can only stay where we are, and we will never see the distant scenery, let alone reach the ideal destination.
实力是获得尊严的保障。
Strength is the guarantee of dignity. Jiefeng. November 14, 2022. Translated by Qin Yu, edited by Peter. Being respected and not being insulted by others, no one dares to insult you, proves that you have dignity. If no one respects you and you are often bullied, that proves that you have no dignity. Living with dignity is the instinctive desire of human beings, so how do we obtain dignity? The king of hell has dignity because he has strength. Nobel Prize winners have dignity because they have strength. Bill Gates and Musk have dignity because they have strength. The President of the United States has dignity because he has strength. The powerful the strength, the higher is the value of dignity. Without strength, there is no dignity. The more that people respect you, the greater the value of your dignity. Without respect, there is no dignity. To be respected by people depends entirely on one's own strength. Strength is earned by actions, not by words. You can't accumulate strength just by mere talk, but by your actions. Strength is a kind of potential energy, which is daunting and commands respect. Strength is a kind of internal power, and it cannot be won through quarrels and squabbles. Strength has nothing to do with interpersonal relationships. Just as immunity has no bearing on interpersonal relationships, strength is also unrelated to them. Hence, one cannot acquire strength by resorting to flattery, fawning, and self-demeaning behaviors to project oneself as a good person. Strength has nothing to do with status. Respect is an expression of emotion from the heart. If you have status, people will not dare to offend you, but they may despise you in their hearts. Therefore, even if you become a president, if you lack strength, people will ridicule and despise you behind your back. So relying on status alone does not necessarily lead to a dignified life. Just because people nod and bow and flatter you doesn't necessarily mean that you have dignity. Soldiers point guns at people and cruel officials use power to suppress people. But in their hearts, people will not respect soldiers and cruel officials. How do you develop strength? First, you accumulate rich connotations through learning. One who is filled with knowledge always behaves with elegance. The second is practice, which is to embody one's own connotation with realistic images, and the last is its application to benefit others. The more that people have benefited, the stronger the proof, the stronger the respect one has gained. The more skilled you are, the more powerful you are. If you play the flute well, play the eru well, grow vegetables well, do a good job of cleaning and sanitary work, produce more high-quality products, teach well, treat diseases, and save lives in a timely and effective manner, and can lend a helping hand to save lives at critical moments, make vigorous efforts to turn the tide, and so on. These are all ways to save and gain strength, and you will be respected by other people, and will live with dignity. Character is also a manifestation of human strength. If you have an excellent character, you will be respected by people, and live a dignified life. So, what exactly is strength? The answer is that any connotation and quality that a person possesses that can win people's respect comes from strength. As long as one has strength, he will live with dignity. Without strength, one cannot live with dignity.
给未婚者的祝福。
Blessings to the unmarried. Jiefeng. June 14, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. If you are unmarried and have no intention of getting married, I bless you. You will surely attain happiness in life and a bright future of life. The institution of marriage is a design of the devil, aimed at dragging people into hell. Angels entering into marriage can turn into demons, and human nature is distorted through marriage. The majority of human suffering in society originates from marriage, and most of life's unhappiness comes from marriage. Marriage is ugly. Marriage is a calamity. Marriage is a catalyst for jealousy, comparison, selfishness, strife, corruption, and narrow-mindedness. Marriage is an incubator of troubles, pain, anxiety, sorrow, anger, discontent, and resentment. Marriage is the birthplace of familial, racial, and national conflicts. Marriage is an obstacle and resistance to the elevation of human life quality to heavenly realms. Christ Jesus tells us, in heaven, there is neither marrying nor giving in marriage. The fundamental reason why heaven is beautiful lies in the absence of marriage. To enjoy the beauty of heavenly life, one must never enter into marriage. Imagine if you enter into marriage, what would you do if the other person has personal flaws? What if they have bad habits? What if they have a tendency for violence, unreasonable behavior, extreme selfishness, a volatile and irritable temper, lack of hygiene, vanity, socializing excessively, being suspicious, having a strong possessiveness, not allowing you to interact with the opposite sex, and constantly nagging in your ear, always finding fault with you? What will you do? Either endure it for a lifetime or get a divorce, but whether enduring or divorcing, both are painful and tragic in life. Life is short. In the blink of an eye, it is a lifetime. Why bind yourself with others? Whether in heaven or on earth, freedom is the most precious. Where there is freedom, there is paradise, and where there is no freedom, there is hell. Binding yourself to others will undoubtedly result in the loss of freedom, which is not worth the trade-off. Human history is a chronicle of suffering, and everyone's life upon entering marriage is a contract of self-sale. When humanity gazes upon the vastness of the cosmos, it is only then that we realize our history is also a chronicle of ignorance. The essence of this ignorance lies in the fact that each person willingly and unknowingly walks into the entangling web of marriage. When sweet love enters the halls of marriage, as time passes by, the beautiful wishes gradually settle into the riverbed of years. The efforts and aspirations to change the other person eventually fade away like illusions. Hope turns into disappointment, disappointment turns into despair, and ultimately, one enters the bottomless abyss of reincarnation with endless remorse and regret. When we look up at the vastness of the cosmos, we find a place in the Milky Way galaxy where people live without marriage. Everyone loves and cares for each other, living in harmony and peace. The mountains and rivers are beautiful, and there are abundant natural resources. Everyone relishes the joys of being alive and the fortunate blessings of destiny, with boundless yearning and anticipation for a bright future. That kind of life is the life that Earth's humanity should emulate. That is the direction of human development. And that planet is the primary form of heaven, the thousand-year world. My blessing to the unmarried is, you will eventually enter the heavenly realm of the thousand-year world.